Welcome back to another video on the channel. So we reached the business end of the men's 2022 Australian Open. We have two fantastic semi-finals on paper lined up. Rafael Nadal against Matteo Berrettini and Stefanos Tsitsipas against Daniil Medvedev. I think it took a little bit of a while for the tournament to get fully up to speed, with the Djokovic news still surrounding the first week of the Australian Open. But now this attention's fully switched to tennis. I think the quarterfinals between the likes of Nadal and Shapovalov and Tsitsipas performed against Jannik Sinner. Today's semi-quarterfinal between Medvedev and Felix Auger-Aliassime have just set up for a fantastic end to a brilliant Grand Slam tournament. So I'm going to start off by looking at Stefanos Tsitsipas against Daniil Medvedev. And I've often been critical of Stefanos Tsitsipas, particularly at majors over the past few years. I don't think he's quite lived up to expectations. I think he's a lot better than what he showed. And his performances haven't stood up. When you just think about his third round exit at the US Open last year, his first round exit at Wimbledon last year, just not good enough for a player that's got his quality and his ranking. He's shown at this Australian Open that he's one of the top players in the world. He's capable of winning Grand Slams. And this could be Stefanos Tsitsipas's year, in my opinion. It's the best I've seen Stefanos Tsitsipas play at a hard-court major ever. His performance against Jannik Sinner when he was all but an underdog in that match was mightily impressive. When he was getting defeated off Taylor Fritz and came through in 5 sets, I think that's a match that Tsitsipas would have lost a few years ago, maybe even last year. I think he's gaining mental strength all the time. His patterns of play, he's switching up his tactics very, very well. He's serving big under pressure. You can see he's got that will to win. He's probably senses this is an opportunity for him in Australia with the absence of Novak Djokovic and Roger Federer. The draws being kind to him, but he's played very, very impressively throughout. And his quarterfinal against Jannik Sinner, when he was an underdog with many, I thought he really stamped his authority on the match. Sinner's still very inexperienced on the ATP tour, where Tsitsipas has beaten a major final. He's beaten at quarterfinals. But it's something that he hasn't done throughout his career. He hasn't used his experience. He hasn't used his skill and his power from the back of the court to full effect. But that's something that he certainly did against Sinner. He took time away from Sinner, didn't allow him to get into the match. And when he closed that open set out, for me, he looked like only one winner. He's serving, he's returning, the aggression, the forehand, even the backhand. Everything about Tsitsipas was in full flow, and he's demonstrated there that if Tsitsipas is at his best, he's very, very difficult to stop on a fast hard court. There was people making comparisons to Roger Federer, and it was very Federer-like. If you watch a young Federer to where Tsitsipas is now, the movement's very fluid, the single-handed backhand, just a joy to watch. Got lots of variety with that shot. The serve and volley tactic that he adopts and executes very well. He is very Federer-like, and he's incredible to watch. He's got so much natural talent, exuberance. The crowd love him. And Tsitsipas is a star just waiting to burst, and this could be his tournament. He's peaking at the right time. I didn't see his early round performances. I didn't see much of the first week just due to work, and the hours being very bad for UK tennis fans. But his performances against Fritz, particularly from the 4th set onwards, and against Jannik Sinner were very, very impressive. I think his performance against Sinner was the best performance I've seen throughout the whole tournament on the men's side. As I mentioned there, I think he's very versatile tactically. I think even if you look at Daniil Medvedev, he's still sketchy a bit when he's coming in, looking to finish points early. I think we saw that today. His forehand was very, very wayward throughout. I think Sasha Zverev still has problems behind his forehand and second serve. There's very few players, you're looking at really Nadal and Djokovic, that can counter-punch, defend fantastically from the baseline, and also come in and finish points and serve and volley and rip forehand and backhand winners. Tsitsipas can do that as well. I think Tsitsipas is a player that the longer he gets in his career and the more he matures, he's becoming a better and better baseline player. I think he's got fantastic, consistent depth and real natural power from the back of the court. But he's also got that ability to surge into the net. He's got great hands. He's very difficult to pass. He's quick. He's athletic. He's a good volleyer, can serve and volley. So Tsitsipas is very tactically versatile, and I think that's a huge weapon that he's got. Mentally, he's getting stronger all the time. As I've said, I think he's performing very well under the pressure. He's serving out sets with relative ease. He's serving big under pressure. He's going for his shots. He's hitting the lines. He's being confident. He's executing the big ground strokes when he needs them, and that's always a sign of a champion. When I watched him against Jannik Sinner, I got the sort of same feeling when I watched Emirato Kano in the US Open, that you can watch him and think that's the performance of a major champion. You know, his quarterfinal performance against Jannik Sinner was how I'd expect Novak Djokovic to perform at the Australian Open quarterfinal. I think it was a very telling performance, and he couldn't be going in any better form against Daniil Medvedev in the semi-final. So for Daniil Medvedev, he was a huge tournament favourite when Djokovic was kicked out of Australia. For many, he was the champion picks before Djokovic even got kicked out. Today, I wasn't impressed with him. I think we can all forgive one poor performance, and I think Tsitsipas will be slightly maybe disappointed that Medvedev played so poorly as he did today at times, because you'd expect Medvedev to right those wrongs and come out and produce much better for the first couple of hours. His serve was very wayward. He double faulted a couple of times in the first set tiebreak, which is very unlike him. His forehand was very wayward, hitting the net, going wide, by wide margins on shots that are very, you'd expect, comfortable for a player of his ability. You saw signs of frustration, and he didn't really back that up with positives in the first and second set. You know, when he got frustrated, he followed up with a double fault or a forehand error. He didn't seem to cope with the disappointments very well, but he did come through and win that 5-hour epic battle. And while I'm on that, I think it's just worth crediting Aliassime as well. I don't like when people just criticise the performance of Medvedev. The shot making of Aliassime for the first 3 or 4 hours that match was exceptional. Never gave up. And he really punished Daniil Medvedev. We know Medvedev, a big part of his game is that consistent depth. For the first few hours, I felt Medvedev never quite nailed the line and length consistently, and Aliassime, punished that every time, whether it was a backhand down the line, a backhand cross court, a forehand winner, any short ball. Aliassime really punished, and he was absolutely, I thought it was the best I've ever seen Aliassime perform in a Grand Slam match. You know, he stuck with Medvedev for 4 hours and 40 minutes. I was sort of expecting Aliassime after a few hours to drop off, but his ball striking continued throughout, and it really could have went either way of that match. I think the experience of Medvedev told eventually, but Aliassime's got such natural talent, natural power. He's massively improved in the early part of 2022, and I think he's going to have a huge future in the game. But focusing on Medvedev, I think he slowly found his depth. The service rhythm started to fly, and he got more aggressive throughout, which I was impressed with. He used the backhands down the line a lot. I think he knew his consistent depth wasn't quite working today, so he opted a more aggressive approach, took time away from Aliassime, and that's what switched the match in his favour. Match point down, he served impeccably well, and from that point on, he was invincible. I thought from the match point down, when he held, there was only one person going to win that match, and he played exceptionally well from that point. Daniil Medvedev, whether you like his style of tennis or not, whether you're a Medvedev fan, you've got to respect. He's just an absolute warrior. He's a nightmare to play over 5 sets, and for me, if you beat Daniil Medvedev over 5 sets, you deserve to win the tournament outright. His fitness, his athleticism, his defence, his counter-punching, serving, the mental strength. He's just an exemplary major champion and a person that's perfectly built for Grand Slam tennis. In terms of a prediction, it's very, very difficult. Majority of the time, this matchup would certainly favour Medvedev, especially over the distance. If you're going off last performances, I think Tsitsipas is way, way ahead of Medvedev. But I think Medvedev, now he's in the business end of the tournament, has come through a tough battle when he looked down and out at times. He's sort of riding the wave now. I expect to see a much better Medvedev in this match. But Tsitsipas has performed as well, so well in the big moments, and he has got experience. You know, he's been to major finals, he's been to semi-finals of the Australian Open before. This match, for me, it sounds strange when I say this, but it's on the record of Stefanos Tsitsipas. I think if he can adopt an aggressive style, if he can serve and volley well, if he can stick with Medvedev at times from the back of the court, I do think he holds the power advantage, and I think the court has been very quick in Australia. I think if Medvedev doesn't quite find his length, Tsitsipas will punish that consistently. He's a player that can keep up that level for 3 or 4 hours. His shot making's been exceptional. He looks full in confidence, serving very well. So I want Tsitsipas to win, and I'm going to go for the underdog. I'm going to go Stefanos Tsitsipas to win it in 4 sets. From what I've seen of Medvedev this tournament, he's not quite hitting his straps. I'm not sure that's because he's favoured for the tournament. Now Djokovic is absent, whether he's struggling to hold that favourite tag. But I just didn't think he was strong at all today. I mean, Aliassime, as I said, was exceptional throughout, but Medvedev's basics and what he's won Grand Slams on is his consistent depth, his consistency in ground strokes, forehands and backhands, but his forehand looked very, very off today for a lot of the match. His second serve looked edgy and that he didn't have complete trust in it, and I think Tsitsipas will jump all over that, and he's a good enough player to reach his second major final. So I'm going to go Stefanos Tsitsipas to win in 4 sets. Now moving on to Matteo Berrettini against Rafa Nadal. And for me, sorry, I forgot to switch the presentation. For me, Matteo Berrettini is, over the past couple of years, the most improved player on the ATP. I think his ability to adapt to different surfaces, his results on different surfaces across the past couple of years, often underappreciated. But he's becoming a very consistent quality performer and will soon be in the top 5 in the men's rankings if he continues this trajectory. We obviously all know that Berrettini possesses that monster forehand, monster serve. But for me, it's the backhand that's the reason behind his improving results. When I watch him the other day, he's playing backhands down the line for clean winners, backhand slices to maintain neutral position in rallies. That's something that we didn't used to see from Berrettini, but it's a shot that he's clearly worked a lot on over the past couple of years. It's definitely aiding his results. He doesn't seem to have a negative in his game anymore. The backhand was a shot that you could really target for Berrettini, but that doesn't look to be the case anymore. I do think he could mix it with Rafa's backhand with the way he's playing at the moment. He saved the most break points in 2021, which shows he's immensely strong and bold under pressure. And I think Berrettini mentally is superb. I think he's bang there with the top players. I wouldn't expect him to struggle in the big moments. He's got that huge first serve, a monster forehand. He can win points and hit the 1-2 punch very effectively. So I think, it's going to take a special performance to stop Matteo Berrettini. I think he sort of goes under the radar and draws, but these courts are perfect for his aggressive game style. And if Rafa's not at his best, then it will be, a very, very tough match for Rafa. Just talking of Rafa, experience was the key against Denis Shapovalov. I thought Shapovalov largely outplayed Nadal for the majority of that match. Even in the final set, Shapovalov could have easily led 3-love rather than going 3-love down. But Rafa bossed the big points, and that's what, Grand Slam tennis comes down to in the end. A couple of points I've picked up on Rafa from watching him. I've been watching Rafa closely at the Australian Open 2022 just because of I was interested to see how he returned to the court after such a long layoff. And these might be 2 things that do improve over time as he gets more match fitness. I think the fact he's reached a semi-final of a major at 36-year-old after such a long layoff is commendable. I read today that he wasn't even sure he was going to make the Australian Open. So to get the stage he has is an incredible achievement already, but I certainly wouldn't put Rafa out of winning this tournament. Now he's reached this stage, being a 20-time major champion. I think his feet have slowed down over the past few years. I don't think we've seen the best of Rafa by any stretch since early part of 2020. I think the fact his feet have slowed down sort of negates his counter punch from the backhand side. Used to be a massive weapon of his. He doesn't seem to have the same sort of timing and the same foot speed to get in the right position to play that shot anymore. It's certainly not a bad backhand, but he doesn't counter punch out of that backhand corner as well as he used to do, in my opinion. And also, I think as generations pass through, the likes of Shapovalov and Tsitsipas and Aliassime and Sinner, they all become better returners of serve because I think the impact of that shot is becoming more and more over the years. It's a very important shot in tennis now, the return of serve. And I think as the better returners come throughout the years, they sort of negate Rafa's 1-2 punch, which has been his trademark tactic or ploy on serve, if you want to say. And I think, as I said there, I think he was outplayed by Shapovalov. He was out-hit by Shapovalov in large part, but he found his best tennis under pressure in the big moments, which are certainly good signs for him moving on in the tournament. In terms of predictions, this is very, very tough. If you ask me who I think's played the better tournament so far and who I think the courts suit better, I think it's Matteo Berrettini. I think his forehand and his serve, he'll be able to blast through Rafa at times, and I think his backhand, he'll be able to mix at times with Rafa. But Berrettini's reached just the one major final. So will he stand up in the big moments as he has done over the past couple of years? I'm not so sure. We know Rafa is a player that sticks in matches he fights for every point. He produces his absolute best in the biggest moments, and we hit 4-4, 5-5, 6-6. That's when we see the vintage Rafa Nadal. And when Rafa Nadal produces his best, there's very few players in the world can rise to the level to stop him. So it's very, very difficult, this one. I struggled on the Tsitsipas and Medvedev. For me, this is even harder because I think, as I say, the form edges with Berrettini, the experience and the major winning experiences, obviously, with Rafa Nadal. I'm going to go for the underdog again. I'm going to go for Matteo Berrettini. I think he's sort of gone under the radar the past couple of years. I think, a couple of years ago, this matchup would have certainly been in Rafa's favour due to the negative with Berrettini's backhand. But it's, as I said, a shot that I think's come on leaps and bounds and can certainly stick with Rafa now with the way he's improved and executing the backhand slice and the backhands down the line. And I just think, Shapovalov did blast through Rafa for a good couple of hours. And won 2 comfortable sets in the quarterfinal. So if he can do it, I think Berrettini can certainly do it. And I'm not sure Nadal will have it in his legs after such a long layoff to recover a deficit again. I don't think Rafa is anywhere near his best at the moment, which is understandable given his age and the layoff. But I think Berrettini is a player that will certainly expose that. And if Rafa's not at his best, if he's not able to produce his best in the biggest moments, then Berrettini will win this match. And I think the safe bet is with Berrettini. He's in form. He's in his peak years. He's been playing regularly on the tour. He's been winning matches. He's serving fantastically well. He's confident, hitting winner after winner. Whereas Rafa, just not quite sure where he's at. Can he go to the levels to win a Grand Slam? I haven't seen evidence of that for the past couple of years. So I think the safe bet here is with Berrettini. So I'm going to go Berrettini in 4 and Stefanos Tsitsipas in 4. And if that's the case, we are guaranteed a new maiden major champion, which would be fantastic for the sport. But yeah, if you have got any predictions for the Grand Slam semi-finals, do leave them in the comment section below. I do always enjoy reading those. If you have enjoyed the video, please do leave a like. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.